The crystal chandeliers of Meridian Estate cast dancing light across the marble floors as I walked through the venue's grand ballroom. My sister Victoria followed 3 steps behind, her Louboutins clicking with the rhythm of impending judgment. Mom trailed beside her, already wearing that pinched expression that meant she'd found something to criticize. "This is nice," I said quietly, running my hand along the mahogany banister overlooking the garden terrace. Victoria laughed, the sound sharp enough to cut glass. "Nice? Emma, this place costs $40,000 just for the venue rental. That's not counting catering, florals, or anything else. You work at that little nonprofit downtown. Let's be realistic about your budget." "I'm just looking," I replied, keeping my voice steady. The wedding planner, Christine, appeared with a bright smile and a leather portfolio. "Miss Emma. So wonderful to see you again. I've prepared the premium package details you requested. The terrace ceremony, the vintage wine collection for cocktail hour, and of course, exclusive access to the private bridal suite for the entire weekend." Mom's eyes widened. "Weekend? Emma, honey, this is completely out of your league. You make what, $35,000 a year? This venue alone probably costs more than your annual salary." I nodded. "You're probably right, Mom." Victoria circled the room like a shark who'd scented blood. "You know what? This is actually perfect for my engagement party. Derek and I have been looking for something impressive to announce our wedding. Christine, is this available 3 months from now? October 15th. Christine's smile faltered slightly. "Well, I'd need to check with—" "We can afford it," Victoria interrupted, pulling out her black Amex. "Unlike some people, Derek's hedge fund bonus alone could buy this entire estate. Put down a deposit. 50,000, is that enough to secure it?" "Victoria, that's Emma's appointment," Mom said, though her tone carried no real conviction. "Maybe we should." "Mom, please. We both know Emma's just window shopping. She does this all the time, pretending she can afford things to make herself feel better about her sad little life. Remember when she toured those penthouses last year? Or when she test drove that Tesla? It's embarrassing." I felt the familiar tightness in my chest but kept my expression neutral. "It's fine. If Victoria wants the venue, she should take it." Christine looked between us, clearly uncomfortable. "Perhaps we should discuss this separately. Emma, you had mentioned wanting the December date for your own event, and—" "December." Victoria laughed again. "She doesn't even have a boyfriend, Mom. She's literally planning a wedding for an imaginary relationship. This is worse than I thought." Mom touched Victoria's arm but not to stop her. "Victoria has a point, Emma. You've always been imaginative. Maybe you should focus on finding someone first before you start booking venues you can't afford." "I understand," I said quietly. Christine's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, frowning. "Excuse me for just one moment. I need to take this call." She stepped toward the French doors leading to the terrace. Victoria immediately began circling the ballroom again, her phone out, taking photos. "Derek is going to die when he sees this. The marble floors alone are incredible. And that chandelier? It's definitely baccarat crystal. Probably worth more than Emma's car." "When's Derek proposing?" Mom asked, her voice warm in a way it never was when she spoke to me. "Next month in Paris. He's taking me to Le Jules Verne, the restaurant in the Eiffel Tower. He's already had a custom Tiffany ring designed. 3 carats, platinum setting, flawless diamond." Victoria shot me a glance. "Some of us don't have to pretend about our lives." I walked to the window, looking out at the manicured gardens. The estate stretched across 12 acres with reflecting pools, a rose garden, and a view of the city skyline in the distance. I'd purchased it 4 years ago through my holding company, back when property values in this area were depressed. The renovations alone had cost $7 million. "Earth to Emma," Victoria called. "Did you hear me? I asked what you actually do at that nonprofit. You're like a receptionist or something." "I work in acquisitions," I said. "Acquisitions?" Victoria smirked. "That's a fancy word for filing papers. Mom, she works at a nonprofit. They barely make any money. She's probably answering phones and pretending it's important." Mom sighed. "Emma, honey, there's no shame in being realistic about your situation. Victoria worked hard to get where she is. Senior associate at a law firm, engaged to a successful man. Maybe if you'd focused more on your career instead of all this dreaming, you'd be in a better position." "You're right," I said. The truth was more complicated. The little nonprofit was the Westmore Foundation, an organization I'd founded after my software company went public 6 years ago. I'd sold it to a tech conglomerate for $840 million when I was 27. The nonprofit now managed $200 million in assets, funding arts programs, housing initiatives, and education projects across 3 states. I drew a modest salary because I didn't need the money. My investment portfolio generated enough passive income to fund several lifetimes of luxury. But I'd learned early that telling my family about money only made things worse. Victoria's resentment had started in childhood, when I'd gotten into MIT and she'd gone to state school. It had intensified when I'd started my company and peaked when I'd sold it. After one disastrous Thanksgiving where I'd mentioned the sale, Victoria had spent months posting on social media about how some people get lucky, while real success takes hard work. Mom had sided with her, suggesting I was showing off by mentioning my achievements. So I'd stopped mentioning them. I worked at my foundation using my middle name, lived in a modest apartment as far as my family knew, and let them believe whatever narrative made them comfortable. Victoria was now on a phone call, presumably with Derek. "Babe, you have to see this place. It's absolutely perfect. Marble everything, crystal chandeliers, the works. I'm putting down a deposit right now. Yes, $50,000. I know, but it's worth it for the impression we'll make. Everyone who matters will be there." Christine returned, her expression troubled. She held her tablet close to her chest. "Victoria, I need to speak with you about the deposit. Is 50 not enough?" Victoria didn't look up from her phone. "Fine, make it 75. I want this place locked down." "It's not about the amount," Christine said carefully. "There's been a complication with your booking." That got Victoria's attention. "Complication? I'm offering you $75,000 right now. What kind of complication could there possibly be?" Christine glanced at me, then back to Victoria. "I've just been informed by the property owner that your deposit cannot be accepted." The room went silent except for the ticking of the antique clock on the mantel. "Excuse me." Victoria's voice dropped to that dangerous tone she used right before explosions. "Cannot be accepted? Do you know who my fiancé is? Derek Morrison manages over $2 billion in assets. We're not some nobody couple looking for a bargain venue." "I understand, but the owner has specifically—" "Get your manager," Victoria snapped. "Better yet, get the owner on the phone. This is ridiculous. Are you seriously turning away $75,000? Mom stepped forward, her lawyer voice activating. "There must be some mistake. My daughter is offering more than your deposit requirement. On what grounds are you refusing?" Christine's composure cracked slightly. "Mrs. Hartwell, I don't have all the details. I just received a call from the property management company stating that Victoria's booking cannot proceed." "This is discrimination," Victoria said, her voice rising. "That's what this is. We'll sue." "Mom, this is literally your specialty. They can't refuse service without cause." "She's right," Mom agreed. "Christine, you need to provide a legitimate reason for this refusal, or we'll be filing a complaint with the state licensing board." I remained by the window watching a gardener tend to the rose bushes below. Victoria whirled on me. "This is your fault somehow, isn't it? Did you call them? Did you sabotage my booking because you're jealous?" "I haven't made any calls," I said truthfully. "Then what?" Victoria's phone rang. She glanced at it, frowned, and answered. "Hello? Yes, this is Victoria Hartwell. What? No, there must be some mistake. I'm at the venue right now trying to book it. What do you mean cancelled?" Her face went from confused to pale to bright red in the span of seconds. "High spa day," she said slowly. "At Azure? Tomorrow? But I booked that months ago. You're refunding me? Why? I don't understand. The owner? What about the owner?" Christine's phone rang simultaneously. She stepped away, answering in hushed tones. Mom's phone buzzed with a text. She looked at it and frowned. "That's odd. The manager at that boutique where I ordered your birthday gift, Victoria, they're saying the order is cancelled." "What is happening?" Victoria demanded, still on her phone. "Someone call Azure Spa right now and find out why they're canceling my appointment. I've been going there for 3 years." Christine returned, her face now completely drained of color. "Victoria, Mom, I need to ask you both to gather your belongings." "Excuse me." Mom's voice went ice cold. You're being asked to leave the property, Christine said, and I could hear the tremor in her voice. Immediately, Victoria ended her call and stalked toward Christine. Leave? We're potential clients. I'm trying to give you money. The owner has requested your immediate departure, Christine said, holding her ground though her hands shook. Security has been notified. Security. Victoria's laugh was slightly hysterical now. Over what? We haven't done anything. We're literally standing here looking at a venue. A man in a dark suit appeared in the doorway. Michael, the head of security for the estate. He'd worked for me since I'd purchased the property. Miss Hartwell, I'm going to need you and your mother to exit the premises. This is insane, Mom said, her lawyer voice now tinged with genuine confusion. On what grounds are you removing us? The property owner's instructions, Michael said simply. Victoria turned to me, her eyes wild. You did something. I don't know how, but you. I've been standing here the whole time, I said quietly. Christine's tablet pinged. She looked at it, then at me, her eyes widening with recognition. Oh my God. What? Victoria snapped. Christine ignored her, instead addressing me directly. Miss Chin, I am so deeply sorry. I didn't realize. The booking was under your first name and I never connected. I should have recognized you immediately. Victoria's head swiveled between Christine and me. What are you talking about? That's Emma. Emma Hartwell. She works at a non-profit. This is Emma Chin, Christine said, her voice now respectful in a way it hadn't been before. She owns Meridian Estate. She owns 17 properties in this city, including this venue, Azure Spa, the Rothmore Boutique, and... That's impossible, Victoria interrupted. She's poor. She works at a non-profit making $30,000 a year. She drives a 10-year-old Honda. Christine looked genuinely distressed now. Miss Chin founded and sold Paradigm Solutions 6 years ago. She's the primary benefactor of the Westmore Foundation, which operates out of the Westmore building downtown, which she also owns. The booking I've been coordinating with her isn't for a wedding. It's for the foundation's annual gala, which hosts over 500 attendees including the governor and 3 senators. The silence that followed was absolute. Mom spoke first, her voice barely a whisper. Emma. The nonprofit is mine, I said simply. I founded it after I sold my company. Victoria's champagne glass, forgotten in her hand, slipped and shattered on the marble floor. You sold a company? 6 years ago. Paradigm Solutions. We developed enterprise security software. The acquisition was $840 million. The number hung in the air like a bomb. That's... Mom couldn't seem to finish the sentence. Victoria's phone rang again. She answered it automatically, her eyes still locked on me. Oh, yes, this is... What? The gym membership? But I've been a member for... The owner? Emma Chin owns? She lowered the phone slowly. You own my gym? Sunrise Fitness, yes. I acquired it 2 years ago as part of a real estate portfolio. Christine's tablet pinged again. She looked at it, then at Victoria and Mom. I'm getting notifications from multiple properties. Azure Spa, Rothmore Boutique, the Riverside Country Club, Elmwood Towers. Those are the luxury apartments where you live, Victoria. All owned by Westmore Holdings. All flagging your names in their systems. Why? Victoria's voice cracked. Why would they flag us? Michael stepped forward. Miss Chin has standing instructions about any family members attempting to use her properties. Once the system identifies them, all services are to be immediately terminated, deposits refunded and access revoked. Mom finally found her voice. Emma, this is... I don't understand. Why wouldn't you tell us? I did tell you, I said calmly. At Thanksgiving 6 years ago when the sale closed. Victoria spent the next 3 months posting about how luck isn't real success. You told me I was being inappropriate by flaunting my good fortune. So I stopped mentioning it. But you let us think you were poor, Victoria said. You let us mock you. You were going to mock me either way, I replied. At least this way I knew what you really thought. Christine's tablet wouldn't stop pinging now. Miss Chin, I'm getting alerts from... It looks like every property in the Westmore portfolio. Gyms, spas, boutiques, restaurants, apartment buildings. The system is flagging 2 names, Victoria Hartwell and Patricia Hartwell. What does that mean? Mom asked, though I could see understanding dawning in her eyes. It means, I said, still looking out at the gardens, that you're no longer welcome at any business I own. Victoria laughed, a desperate sound. You can't do that. You can't just ban us from everywhere. I own 43 properties in this city, I said. Commercial and residential. That boutique where you buy your clothes? The spa where you get your treatments? The gym where you have a personal trainer? The country club where Derek plays golf? I own the building they lease from me. That upscale grocery store you love? I own the property. They have a lease clause that allows me to ban individuals from the premises. Mom's face had gone from pale to gray. Emma, honey, surely we can discuss this. We're family. Family, I repeated the word. Is that what we are? Victoria's phone rang again. Then Mom's. Then Victoria's again. Both of them stared at their screens, watching their carefully constructed lives begin to unravel in real time. That's the leasing office for Elmwood Towers, I said. They're calling to inform you that your lease won't be renewed, Victoria. You have 60 days. 60 days. Victoria's voice went shrill. That's not enough time to find a comparable apartment. You'll have to look outside my portfolio. That eliminates about 40% of the luxury buildings in the downtown area. I finally turned from the window to face them. Your gym membership has been terminated. Your spa packages are cancelled. The boutique has closed your account. The country club is revoking Derek's guest privileges. Mom's hands shook as she tried to silence her ringing phone. Emma, please. This is extreme. We were just joking around. We didn't mean. You meant every word, I said, my voice still calm. You've meant every word for 6 years. Every comment about my sad little life. Every joke about my pretending. Every comparison to Victoria's real success. You meant all of it. Christine stood frozen, her tablet clutched to her chest, clearly wishing she were anywhere else. Victoria's bravado cracked. Okay, fine. We were harsh. Sometimes family dynamics get complicated, but you can't destroy our lives over some comments. I'm not destroying anything, I said. I'm simply choosing not to subsidize people who mock me. You'll still have access to plenty of gyms, spas and boutiques. Just not the ones I own. Derek's firm does business with half the properties you own. Victoria said desperately. If you ban me, it'll humiliate him. It could affect his career. Then perhaps you should have considered that before you called my life sad and embarrassing. Mom tried a different approach. Emma, I'm your mother. We've had our differences, but surely blood is thicker than 6 years of contempt? I asked. Then a lifetime of comparing me unfavorably to Victoria? Then telling me I was showing off when I tried to share good news. Victoria's phone rang again. She looked at it and went even paler. It's Derek. He probably just got a call from his country club, I said. They're informing him that his guest membership, which was sponsored by you, has been terminated. They're also likely mentioning that his golf buddies might be uncomfortable with the association, given that I'm the primary investor in several of their firms. You invested in Derek's world? Mom asked, stunned. I invest in a lot of things, Mom. I have a diverse portfolio. Tech companies, real estate, venture capital funds. Derek's firm manages money for people who, in turn, invest with my funds. It's a small world at the top. Victoria sank onto one of the venue's velvet chairs, her phone falling from her hand. This can't be happening. Christine's tablet pinged one final time. She looked at it, then at me, her expression caught between professional courtesy and genuine shock. Miss Chin, I'm getting a message from the Pinnacle Restaurant Group. They're asking for confirmation on. They want to know if the ban extends to their establishments as well. It does, I said. All 12 restaurants in their portfolio. Mom's voice was barely audible. You're really doing this? I'm really doing this, I confirmed. Christine, I'd like to confirm my booking for December 15th for the Foundation Gala. The full estate premium package vintage wine collection, exclusive access for the weekend. Let's increase the guest list to 600. I'll have my assistant send over the updated requirements. Of course, Ms. Chen, Christine said, her professionalism snapping back into place despite her obvious discomfort. I'll have the revised contract ready by end of business today. Michael cleared his throat gently. Miss Hartwell, Mrs. Hartwell, I really do need you to leave the property now. Victoria stood on shaking legs. Emma, please. We can fix this. We can apologize properly. We can. You can leave, I said. You have 60 days to vacate your apartment, Victoria. Mom, you might want to check your own situation. I believe you lease your office space in the Morrison building? That's one of mine too. Your lease is up for renewal next month. Mom's face went completely white. Victoria tried one last time as Michael escorted them toward the door. We're sisters. You can't just cut me off like this. I'm not cutting you off, I said, walking them to the entrance. You'll still see me at family events if you want. You'll just have to find your own gyms, spas, apartments, and country clubs. There are plenty of options outside my portfolio. Mom stopped at the doorway, turning to face me. What about Thanksgiving? Christmas? I'll be at Grandma's for both, same as always, I said. You're welcome to come. I'll be polite. I'll be civil. I'll be exactly as kind to you as you've been to me. The implications of that statement hung heavy in the air. Michael held the door open, waiting. Victoria's phone rang again. Then Mom's. Then Victoria's once more. Those will be various businesses confirming your bans, I said. It's going to be a long afternoon for both of you. Christine, thank you for your patience. I'll have my assistant coordinate with you on the gala details. It's my pleasure, Ms. Chen, Christine said, her voice now carrying genuine warmth alongside the professional courtesy. We're honored to host the Westmore Foundation's event. As Michael escorted my mother and sister out, their phones ringing in a continuous symphony of consequences, I turned back to the ballroom. The chandeliers still cast their dancing light across the marble floors. The gardens beyond the windows still stretched out in manicured perfection. Everything was exactly as it should be. Christine approached cautiously. Miss Chen, I have to apologize again. If I had realized sooner who you were. You treated me with respect, I interrupted gently. You listened to my requests, answered my questions professionally, and only got confused when Victoria tried to override my booking. You did nothing wrong. She exhaled in relief. Thank you. That's very generous. My phone buzzed with a text from my property management team. System has flagged and processed all V. Hartwell and P. Hartwell accounts across portfolio. All services terminated, all deposits refunded, all future bookings blocked. Legal standing by for potential pushback. Awaiting further instructions. I typed back. Maintain current protocols. No exceptions. Flag any attempts to book under alternate names or through third parties. Through the window I could see Victoria and Mom in the parking lot. Victoria was gesticulating wildly while on the phone, probably with Derek. Mom stood apart, staring at her own phone with the expression of someone watching their world rearrange itself in real time. Christine cleared her throat. Would you like to continue the venue tour? There's the wine cellar you mentioned wanting to see and the upstairs bridal suite. Actually, I said, I think I've seen everything I needed to see today. As I drove away from Meridian Estate 20 minutes later, my phone continued buzzing with notifications. My property management team was efficient. Within hours, every business in my portfolio had been updated. Victoria and Mom would spend the rest of their day receiving calls, emails, and notifications as their access to the infrastructure of luxury they'd taken for granted evaporated. Derek called me twice. I didn't answer. He'd figure it out eventually. By the time I reached home, my actual home, the penthouse Victoria had once toured and mocked me for pretending to afford, which I'd purchased with cash 3 years ago, the full scope of the consequences was becoming clear. My phone rang. Grandma. Emma dear, she said when I answered. I just got the most interesting call from your mother. I imagine you did. She seems to think you own half the city. Not half. About 12% of the commercial real estate downtown, and another 15% through various investment vehicles. Grandma laughed, the sound warm and delighted. And here I thought you were doing well with that little software company you sold. Honey, why didn't you tell me? I did tell you, Grandma. 6 years ago at Thanksgiving. I know, dear. I meant why didn't you tell me about Victoria and your mother being awful about it? Would you have believed me? There was a pause. No, she admitted. Victoria's always been my golden child's golden child. I suppose I was blind to it. Your mother called me crying saying you're destroying Victoria's life. Care to give me your side? I gave her the abbreviated version. When I finished, Grandma sighed. You know what the worst part is? She said. I'm not even surprised. Victoria's been jealous of you since you were children. Your mother always handled it by making you smaller instead of helping Victoria grow. I should have said something years ago. It's not your fault, Grandma. Maybe not. But I'm still sorry you felt you had to hide your success from your own family. She paused. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. Not just for the business success but for handling this with grace. You didn't yell, you didn't gloat, you just removed yourself from an unhealthy situation. Thank you, I said and felt tears prick my eyes for the first time that day. Now, Grandma said, her tone brightening, about this foundation gala in December. Am I invited? You're the guest of honor if you want to be. Excellent. I'll need a new dress. Preferably from somewhere Victoria doesn't shop. I laughed despite myself. After we hung up, I stood at my penthouse windows looking out over the city. Somewhere out there, Victoria was probably still making phone calls, trying to understand how her poor, unsuccessful sister had built an empire she'd never even noticed. Mom was likely strategizing, trying to figure out if there was a legal angle, some way to force me to restore their access. There wasn't. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. This is Derek Morrison. We need to talk about Victoria. I deleted it without responding. Another text, this one from Victoria herself. Please. I'm sorry. Can we just talk? I looked at it for a long moment, then set my phone face down on the counter. The thing about consequences is that they're most effective when they're unexpected. Victoria had spent years feeling superior, secure in the belief that her law firm job and hedge fund fiancé made her successful while I languished in poverty. Mom had reinforced that narrative at every opportunity, comfortable in a worldview where Victoria was the golden child and I was the disappointment who needed to be more realistic. They'd built their identities on that foundation. Now the foundation was gone, and they were discovering that the empire they'd sneered at had been beneath their feet the whole time, holding up more of their world than they'd ever imagined. My phone rang again. This time it was Victoria's fiancé Derek's number. Then Victoria. Then Mom. Then a number I recognized as Victoria's law firm. Then Derek again. I silenced my phone and went to make tea. Tomorrow my property management team would send me a full report of all the accounts that had been terminated, all the leases that wouldn't be renewed, all the subtle and not so subtle ways that Victoria and Mom's lives had been restructured in a single afternoon. Tomorrow I'd probably have to deal with lawyers. Mom was nothing if not determined when she felt wronged. Tomorrow there would be family drama and recriminations and attempts at reconciliation that were really just attempts to regain access to my resources. But tonight I stood in my penthouse drinking tea, watching the city lights sparkle below, and felt the unfamiliar sensation of being completely unapologetically myself. No pretending. No hiding. No making myself smaller to make others comfortable. Just Emma Chin, owner of Meridian Estate and 42 other properties, founder of the Westmore Foundation, and a woman who had finally stopped apologizing for her own success. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Christine at Meridian Estate. Ms. Chin, your contract for the December gala is ready for signature. Also, I wanted you to know, it's an honor to work with you. What you've built is remarkable. I smiled and typed back, thank you, Christine. See you in December. Through the windows, the city stretched out before me, 12% of it mine, all of it full of possibility. And somewhere out there, my sister was finally learning what I'd always known. Success isn't about looking rich. It's about being so powerful that people don't realize you own the ground they're standing on until it's too late.